wall.
Yes.
And so it is great to see him with a chance, because I think that really unfairly undid all the good work that he had built up in GP2 when he finished runner-up to Pierre Gasly, who is in your picture right now.
He didn't want to screw things up on his first weekend, so he drove at 90%. And in Australia, you make a small mistake and you're in the wall.
Yeah.
There is very little margin for error there. It's almost like driving at a Monaco or a Singapore. The walls are so close.
Absolutely.
Now, to go from driving at 90% to trying to drive at 150% is, I think, what undid him.
Yeah.
Because he went so far beyond the perceptible limit to try and show what he could do that he just looked silly.
Yeah.
And then he looked inept. And then every time he got back in the car, he crashed it, or he was chasing it, and the car looked to be driving him, and it unravelled.
When he was doing the reserve runs with Haas. Yeah.
And it just undid all of that good work that he'd done. But as I was saying, back in, I think the year out, doing the sim work with Ferrari has done him a power of good. And he's back to being that Antonio Giovinazzi that you and I remember from his Formula 2 days, the guy who could start last in Baku and win the race.
Yes.
You know, that's the guy that we've got back again.
To win the double that week.
Yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
As Norris pumps in his fastest lap of the day, a 1:19.1. 125 laps on the board for him. And this a day, I think, of proper work for McLaren. Solid 125 laps. No glory run for the time. Just getting their heads down, getting the work done.
Absolutely. We've had spins, trips to the gravel trap. Today started with a trip to the gravel trap. Strange.
A weird one, wasn't it?
Crash for Lando Norris at the very start of the day. Explained by the team as cold track, cold tyres, and he was in the gravel at turn 5. Something we've also seen from Charles Leclerc as he's been on his way to 137 laps. Just to finish the lap count underneath Lando Norris. Lance Stroll, 72 laps for Racing Point. Russell has 12 laps in the Williams under his belt, and Robert Kubica, many of his 48 laps today were slow-speed aero tests.
Yes, only 12 proper laps, Robert said he got today. And again, as I was discussing with Johnny and Rachel, feels the team has taken a step forward, but many steps backwards. And one wonders if the step ahead outweighs the steps behind. But not.
Well, you'd hope not.
Positive.
But that had been spoken about before they ran the car.
Yeah.
That was the assumption, the whispers from those in the factory. As Gasly brings it back onto the pit straight, we'll have a glance out of the commentary box window, taking up to 200 miles an hour. And not quite the shower of sparks that we saw earlier from that Red Bull.
A couple.
And he's just not exactly pushing the limits, is he, of the circuit? He's
well, given how he finished his first day in the car,
fairly understandable.
I don't think he wants to put it back in the barrier at the end of the 4th and final day of this first test. Interesting quotes out of Red Bull. Hold on, let me get it right. Let me get it exactly right. Red Bull, the best ever testing program following its first week with Honda.
Wow. That's unbelievably effusive.
Yep.
For a team that has shown itself to not be afraid to say when they're happy, not being afraid to say when they're very unhappy.
First week with a new girlfriend. Oh, she's the best. She's amazing. She's everything I ever wanted and more. She's the one. She's absolutely the one. Take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But also take it on the basis that, to the best of our knowledge, we haven't had a Honda failure.
Certainly not one reported, and certainly a lot of laps
at Red Bull Racing or at Toro Rosso. So let's take that on face value. And certainly, you know, Renault and Red Bull did have their issues in testing. They did have reliability issues in testing. So perhaps it's not just new girlfriend syndrome. Perhaps it is genuinely a very positive and inspiring week for Red Bull with Honda, that they haven't yet turned up to the max. I'm excited.